I'm seated in the conference room of our ministry center in Phoenix, Arizona. It's here that people come from all over the world. They fly, they drive. They want their miracle of deliverance and healing. And many of them receive it right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If you can't get to one of my seminar cities for a personal one-on-one spiritual encounter, do it right here in Phoenix. I look forward to seeing you. This past week saw a national tragedy in the nation of France. One of the most famous religious buildings in all of the world, the 800-year-old Cathedral of Notre Dame, nearly burned to the ground. I've had the privilege to minister in more than 100 countries, and I've seen some of the greatest churches on the planet. The Hagia Sophia Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey, which used to be the largest church in the world. St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Salisbury in Salisbury, England, where the Magna Carta is. The Seville Cathedral in Toledo, Spain. The Metropolitan in Mexico City. Our National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and of course, St. Peter's at the Vatican. But none quite compares to Notre Dame. Our Lady of Paris was nearly burned to the ground. What a tragedy. And since then, billionaires and ordinary people all over France have been pledging hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild and restore this famous cathedral. And they have good reason to do that. It's one of the major tourist spots on the planet. Estimates are about 35,000 people a day used to walk through Notre Dame. But there's a conundrum to all of this and a bit of hypocrisy. Notre Dame is a Catholic church. And France used to be a Catholic country. But now, only 5% of Catholics in France go to Mass. In fact, 40% of the population says they're atheist. Only 27% of French citizens say they believe in God. Wikipedia says that France is one of the most irreligious countries in the entire world. And here's another irony, because I've been to France on several occasions. There are more astrologers and psychics in France than there are Catholic priests. In fact, out of all the countries of the European continent, France is the most drawn toward witchcraft and the occult. So you see, what we have going on here is historical sentiment, not an act of faith to rebuild this great church. Now, like most people, I lament this loss, the art, the architecture, and its religious significance. But you know, buildings do crumble. They do not last forever. And when Jesus was here on earth, he referred to the great temple in Jerusalem, so much admired by the Jews. And he said in Luke 21:6, there was coming a time, and he was referring to the overthrow of the city by the Romans in 70 AD. Jesus said, not a stone will be left unturned. It's all going to fall down. He emphasized that he was the true temple and that he would rise again on the third day. And they were not to mourn the loss of the physical temple, but rather the true temple of Jesus Christ. John 2:19 points this out. I am happy that there's such a concern and effort to restore the Cathedral of Notre Dame, but I'd be a lot happier if all that money was going toward the spiritual restoration of faith in France. After all, the cathedral was built of wood and stone, and all that will crumble eventually in time, even if they rebuild it. But the human soul lives forever. It's souls who are going to have to face eternity in heaven or hell. And I think what's needed for France is a spiritual restoration of faith and commitment to follow Jesus Christ. So while we focus on the loss and the restoration, think about your own crumbling life spiritually and the restoration that can be yours through Jesus Christ, through faith in him, receiving him as your Savior, and then as deliverer, being set free from all the bondages that the devil has put upon you. That's true spiritual restoration and escaping the fires of eternal judgment.